What's up, homegirls? ¿Qué onda, morras? Buenos días, tardes, o noches, since I don't know when you're listening to this. I hope your day is going good, or at least better than yesterday. Welcome to Te Crees Muy Muy, the podcast para las homegirls who are healing, growing, and figuring life out, sin plan, con flow. I'm your host, aka your Chicana homegirl from Cali, Stephanie, and as always, muchísimas gracias for pressing play and hanging out with me. And your reminder of the day, morra, el tren no se fue, tú vales oro, no migajas. Agárrate las pestañas y vámonos. Now, let's get into it. What's up, homegirls? Welcome to episode 21 of the Te Crees Muy Muy podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about rest and toxic productivity. As always, you know the dealio. I'm not a mental health professional, but I've learned some shit along the way that I think can be helpful. Pero ahí tú sabrás if you want to use the tips or even apply them to the state of life you're in right now. I don't know about y'all, but I grew up with parents that low-key only rested when they were sleeping and when they disque vacation, but not really. They always had things to do over there in Mexico. They just slowed down a little bit, maybe. My parents don't really slow down in that sense. My dad is a former stucco worker, and that man, damn, for the love of God, he cannot stay still. It's wired in him and his brain to be doing something 24/7. No se puede quedar quieto, and that nerviosismo, often not being able to stay still or gets into some type of shit, ends up involving the rest of the family at times. And that's where I have to have some type of conversation with him because it's not okay. And I've always feel like I have to say that I love my parents. They don't do it on purpose, but y'all already know that. So why do I have to say it? Or else I sound hella judgmental. It's interesting because I've actually talked to my therapist about that. Anyways, I've talked to my mom too because there's only so much praying and cleaning someone can do, right? She's gotten actually better, but still, I don't have brothers, as you guys know. So it's just me and my sisters, right? If we were bored growing up, pues órale ponte a limpiar el cuarto, trapear, barrer, etc. There shouldn't be a reason why you're bored. Hay cosas que hacer. And I remember my mom would say, no tengo tiempo de aburrirme. And that was it. Y'all, aquí les va a little quick story. I was in middle school and I left because I was sick, right? I had a fever and my older cousin picked me up from school y me tiró ahí en mi casa. And instead of laying down, for reals, fool, I'm not even kidding, me puse a barrer and make sopa de estrellitas. I know, hella random that I'm in middle school and I know how to cook in a sense, right? And I'm not saying it's like all elaborate because I know some of you guys are going to be like, dude, a sopa de, de estrellas or de fideo or whatever. But still, I did it. And I remember I told my mom this story years later. I don't even know how it came about, but I told her as an adult. And she straight up looked at me, y'all, and me dijo, pues te hubieras acostado. And I just gave her this look like, what the crud? And I know some of you guys are going to agree with her, but it's so ingrained to clean instead of rest. I wonder if other Latinas have gotten over that. Anyways, this episode isn't to shit on my parents, but I know for a fact I'm not the only one that's going through this. And I think we need to talk about guilt because that's really what's underneath all of this. We live in a capitalistic world that literally requires you to get into debt just to survive. My therapist actually brought that concept to me and I was shook. And ojo, I'm not saying this is an excuse for you guys to stay in debt or get into debt, but it's important to understand the system that we are operating in, right? American culture is so about the hustle and bustle. Get ahead, keep moving, have multiple income streams. Don't rely, have a side hustle. If you don't have multiple income streams, what are you guys doing, right? And that has a lot of branches to it. And I don't want to get that deep into it, but I want to address some of it. The pandemic showed a lot of people how their employers really view them. No one is bigger than the program. And when you realize that, things get a little bit clearer and maybe you can start to detach from work being your whole identity. And I'm not saying being irresponsible and get fired on purpose or you're starting to become sloppy. I'm just saying do what's expected of you. Don't go above and beyond. Don't do less, don't do more. And that's coming from a former recruiter, pero cada quien su rollo, right? A lot of us, whether we see it or not, have work as one of our main pillars in life. And I know you guys are going to say, well, no shit, morra, right? We need to work. We need to pay los biles. Some of y'all have kids or tienen mortgage or car payments, student loans, cosas grandes así big to pay. I understand that, but hear me out. I'm on that bus too. When you don't have hobbies, things to look forward to in a sense, or other goals outside of work, unconsciously or maybe consciously, it becomes everything you do. And that's why te aferras to it. I was like that in my very last position, and that shit tore me up. I got laid off in 2023. And even though I already had another job in the works, the amount of overtime I put in trying to give it all on a shaky ass team for them to lay me off anyway. And that experience really opened my eyes. My therapist back then told me, ¿por qué no puedes tratar ese trabajo como temporal si es temporal? And she was like, why do you hang on for dear life and give it your all for something that is a temp job? Meaning that they can let you go at any moment, anytime, right? And I looked at her and I was like, I wasn't embarrassed, but I was like, fuck, it's true. And because I was super stressed out, you guys, that's where I think low-key maybe my burnout started. And she goes, and I actually told her, my bad. I told her, well, I'm going to be honest with you. And she's like, okay. I was like, no tengo hobbies, no tengo pareja. I was like, no tengo really otras metas. And she was like, bingo. She goes, you're super stressed out over something that, yes, it's important because you got bills to pay, but they will drop you as soon as the contract is up or before. And obviously that made me reflect, and I was able after that to treat it like a temp job that it was. And I know some of you guys are going to be like, damn girl, you went to therapy. I could have told you that for free. But sometimes when we're so in our feelings, y'all, something that I have to tell myself is my feelings aren't facts, as much as it hurts. And I know that's really hard to do porque like everything looks bigger. And let's talk about toxic productivity because I'm living in it right now in real time. I'm not working anymore since basically tomorrow, Monday, is going to be a week. And part of that reason is my health. And I'll be honest with y'all, I have a bit of guilt around that because ahí les va. Society has conditioned us that a disability has to be visible. And that's something that is not really talked about. Meaning you have to see a wheelchair, a missing limb, be blind, or have a mental illness so severe that you can't even leave your house. But let's keep it real. Depression and anxiety really no se ven. And the people think of like depression, que estás triste, like you look triste, and that's really not the case. And what are you supposed to do? Like look sad? You get me? I have a gut illness for almost 10 years, y'all, and my flare-ups are lasting longer. I don't think I'm getting worse. It's just the flare-ups me están durando más largo digo. And honestly, I was having to drive to work with really strong symptoms, doing 45 minutes to an hour commute each way depending on traffic, and that shit's brutal. So now I have all this free time and I want to be productive. But me being home isn't looking what I thought it was going to look like. And I know some of you guys are going to be like, bruh, you've been off for like a week, no mames, right? But I think it's my body trying to catch up. Y'all, I'm waking up every single day between 6 or 7, sometimes even earlier, thinking that I missed a ticket or I didn't log something in on a spreadsheet and then I'm going to be late. I'm still weak. Today was Sunday. Today's Easter, by the way. Happy Easter. I already did like all my family festivities or whatever. Pero me desperté ayer y antier, like thinking that I missed the ticket, and I'm grabbing my phone to see if any emails came through. And the funny thing is that I never signed up to receive Outlook emails on my phone because I was a temp where I was working. But it's just crazy, right? Then, so I'm thinking que voy a llegar tarde. Then I start my day closer to 8. I go get coffee, me voy a caminar. I do a brain dump on my phone as I walk, or sometimes I just walk in silence, or sometimes I put music depending. I don't start doing things for this podcast until closer to 10 a.m. I have no structure and I feel like my day is being wasted on pendejadas, in all honesty, because I don't feel productive, when in reality I am. I've already recorded things for the podcast. I'm listening to other podcasts and videos for inspiration, thinking, dude, that's a hella good topic. Let me put my own spin on it. But y'all, and here's the thing that I think it's not just me. There's a lot of people, because I actually other women, and I don't know if it's like a Latina thing because we got it from our parents, because we're first-gen, or it's just women in general. But I've talked to my sister about this and she said that she goes through it too. Like I remember growing up, and I talked about this, I think it was in my last episode, the episode before, I remember growing up and my mom would be in chinga. Like, let's just say we would go to the store, we had errands to do, and we had to hurry and we had to be done by like 3 or 4 because my dad was going to get home and no había nada de comer, or the house wasn't clean yet. Something like, por ejemplo, let's just say my mom had an appointment at 9 a.m. or something, right? And she's like, ¿Cómo haces el favor? Can you take me, etc. or whatever? And then from the doctor's appointment, ponle she had other little things to do que me dice, hey, hazme el favor, me puedes llevar, whatever. And I would do it. But then I would catch that my mom would be like in a hurry. And I would tell her, like, well, pretend that I was like, oh, let's go eat. And she'd be like, no, ya vámonos, no vamos a alcanzar. Or order it while I'm at the store so we can just go pick it up. Porque tengo que llegar a hacer de comer porque si no tu papá va a llegar con hambre, no va a haber nada. And the funny thing is that a lot of the time, my dad wasn't even hungry. Like, he didn't even care. And the fucked up thing too is that my dad knows how to cook. He knows how to cook pretty well and stuff. And I know que that's their dynamic and that's none of my business. And I know no matter how much that I want to talk to my mom about that or say, how do you feel? I think my mom does acknowledge it, but I think she's just to the point that like, she probably feels like she can't unlearning anymore, you know? And I try not to be metiche because like I said, that's their dynamic. That's their marriage. But I just think it's crazy. So I catch myself doing that too, y'all. Like, porque ando en chinga after I finish breakfast to clean the house, barrer, do the bathrooms, kitchen, and then come back to my room and clean it so I can start by 10 a.m. Like I literally, y'all, I'm en friega, right? Is it so that I can clean and I don't have to think about it later? Is it because it's costumbre or is it toxic productivity? And I need to get it done so I can, or is it that I need to get it done so I can relax? But technically, if you think about it, tengo todo el día to relax in a sense, right? Why does el quehacer come first? And here's another thing that like, I'm not saying that my dad is a lazy person or anything like that, right? Nada que ver. But how come my dad or how come other men, whether they work or not, no andan en chinga before they leave the house to make sure everything gets cleaned? And what I mean, leave the house, obviously you guys are not going to start cleaning at 5, 6 in the morning. Obviously, es cuando se van a trabajar. But I mean, like, for example, so I don't want to stereotype, obviously, but I know a lot of like Latino men trabajan en construcción, right? Not all, but some. And there are days que no trabajan. And I don't know about y'all, but the days que no trabajan, like they cannot stay still. And I think a lot of it has to do with the tantos años que se despiertan temprano and then just having to provide and to go to work, etc. And if they aren't doing anything, I think it's like nerviosismo. And I've caught my dad doing like random stuff. And one time I remember that it was like a little bit before, no, I think it was a little bit actually like past 9:30 and stuff. And like lo regañé, dude. I was like, apá, I was like, I told him in Spanish, right? I'm like, apá, estás haciendo bien harto ruido. I'm like, ¿qué estás haciendo? And then he got mad at me and he's like, pues no, estoy acá recogiendo que tengo un tiradero. I'm like, sí, apá, yo entiendo. I'm like, pero espérate un poquito más tarde, acabo no vas a ir a trabajar. And I think he kind of like relaxed a little bit because like he got mad in a sense. But I was like, bro, like you have to be respectful too, because we don't live in a house, we live in a townhouse. So we have, our neighbors are pretty close. We have a really small yard, right? And I was like, dude, be mindful of other people too. And then there's sometimes que le digo también and he doesn't care, no me hace caso and stuff, right? But I got to the point too that like, I feel awkward sometimes telling my dad that because I don't want to make him seem like lo estoy regañando or anything like that, right? But sometimes, dude, our parents no agarran la onda. And I know some of you guys are going to be like, dude, how can you talk to your parents like that? Son tus parents, respect and everything. But it's not even about that. I don't know if some of you guys will feel comfortable doing that, but I do it. I'm sure that there's stuff that I do that annoys the hell out of them and vice versa and stuff. But I'm okay doing that. And granted, de que yo no se lo digo like in a rude ass way and no le empiezo a gritar or anything like that, but I think they need to be a little bit mindful of other people and their neighbors too, y'all. Especially like when it's like a holiday and the kids don't go to school or something. Why the hell do our dads need to be like powering off and on their tools? Like we don't have a garage, and I understand that maybe him going outside, that's his moment to kind of, I guess, maybe relax. But it's like, dude, be mindful of other people. Anyways, that's just my little rant. So let me go back, right? So that's when I say that, how come they're not in friega cleaning the house before they go out and they do the little do their little outings, I guess. This is if they're not going to go to work, you guys, because obviously, like I said, I get it. So I wrote this script, part of it yesterday, and then I'm just recording today. So this is what I put today is Holy Saturday, and it's 2:30 p.m. And I've already had half of the script typed since I have more free time. Tell me, y'all, why the hell am I rushing through my chores, rushing through my other things like my walk, rushing to get this ready? Nothing will happen if I record this tomorrow, which is tomorrow. That tomorrow is today. But no, ando en chinga. It's a mixture of hurriedness, guilt, and toxic productivity all at once. And what's wild is that I write about stuff that's happening right now. Some of these episodes are reflecting real-time experiences, and this one is no different. Ahí les va otra cosa, and I know that this is a me problem, but I think it's because it's so ingrained. I already told you guys that I have 3 sisters, and the youngest one, I have a huge age gap. I have about, le gano casi with like 19 years. And she grew up totally different than myself and my 2 other sisters, right? She kind of, in a way, grew up as an only child. Yes, she was our sister because of the age gaps, right? And she did not grow up, obviously, having the parents that we had. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a different version of our parents. If anything, that homegirl, she has hella leeway. It's hella crazy. Like, my dad really no la regaña and stuff. Like, once in a while she does if she hella goes out, because you guys know Mexican parents. Like, if you went out once and you had fun, you can't have fun for the remainder of the month. But, like, you know what I mean? So she has a lot of leeway, right? In the whole cleaning and everything, and like otras reglas that we had growing up, she never had none of that. And my little sister was upstairs getting ready to go to a party. Ya era probably a little bit past 12 because we started our day kind of late. And I was pissed, y'all. I was annoyed because she wasn't helping, real talk. I was annoyed with my mom because my mom wasn't saying anything to her. No, we could have finished way faster if my little sister helped us. And you know what, morras? Like, I'll admit it, homegirls. I was able to take a step back and see that it's my mom's dynamic with her. If my mom has an issue with her not helping, she needs to say something. I was the only one that was hella annoyed. And I reflected and I kept it moving, right? Because it's one of those moments that I don't know if your mom's ever said something, but like, it's kind of like a saying about being selfish o que no agarra la onda. My mom used to say, que no miras más allá de tus narices. And that was one of those moments that I felt like I had with my sister in my mind. We were cleaning. Does she really need to be told to help us? Come on, y'all. Pero me calmé and I was like, damn, I need to really check myself. But yeah, that was an interesting moment because that made me reflect, and that was part of the reason that I seguí with this episode, because it was a little bit all over the place, and I was like, that's crazy that I'm mad about that. Anyways, and I want to talk about something that happened to me in Poland, because it really put things into perspective. And keep in mind that I went to Poland 4 months ago in December of 2025. I wouldn't fall asleep at 10 p.m. and I didn't wake up at 8 a.m. like I wanted to. The jet lag was kicking my ass, y'all. There's a 9-hour difference. And then I started to feel guilty because I couldn't believe that I was in Poland and half of my day was gone, because I was waking up like at 12, y'all, 11 or 12, porque no me podía dormir hasta las 3 de la mañana sometimes. And it's not like, I tried, y'all. I'd be in the dark in la cama y no podía. I should be out and about, eating, walking, doing something, but I couldn't. And that's what I had to surrender it. And the crazy part is that I had therapy while I was in Poland. And I know this is going to sound super weird, but I surprised her. I was like, hey girl, I was like, I have to tell you something. And she's like, what? Because I blurred the background, but it doesn't matter. You couldn't see the Airbnb, like the background. And I told her, I was like, I'm in Poland. She tripped out. She said that she was so happy for me and that she couldn't believe like I took that big step, because knowing how like sometimes I worry about what I'm going to eat, que se me complican las cosas. But I told her, I was like, nah, I was like, yo me las arreglo. And I've talked about this in other episodes, that I think people get stressed out when they're with me, when it's time to eat. Like, let's just say we're out and about, because my mom goes, pues, ¿qué vas a comer? A veces no te cae nada. But I'm like, Mom, don't worry about that. I'll figure it out. I've been like this for 10 years. I'll figure it out. And she's like, ¿cómo te está yendo, etc.? And I was telling her, I was like, I need your help. And she's like, okay. I'm like, I'm having a really hard time with this guilt. And she's like, why? I'm like, because look, I was like, the jet lag, I just no me deja. I'm like, I cannot go to sleep at 3 and wake up at 7 or at 8 and 5 hours. And those 5 hours are not straight sleeping. It gets interrupted. And she's like, okay. She goes, for the remainder of the days, if it's possible that you're here, I don't know if you already did the stuff that you said you were going to do. She goes, I just need you to get lost and just enjoy, because you don't know if you're ever going to be able to go back to Europe again. She's like, just do things. y a ver cómo te salen and stuff. She goes, obviously safety and everything. She's like, pero just piérdete. And y'all, by mistake, ese día sí me perdí. One of the best decisions. Things I guess you could say que pasó. I found one of the nicest cathedrals I've ever saw. Me metí. Of course, I did it respectfully and stuff because over there in Poland, obviously, you can't be going in there and recording when there's daily mass going on. You just can't do that. But during masses or cuando ya se acaban for the day, you can go in there and record. I was able to surrender so much stuff, and I had one of the best eating days ever. And it's crazy. A little side note, las cosas que no puedo comer aquí in Cali. And granted that Cali has really good vegetables and like produce and stuff, right? Because like organic and all that stuff. Like aquí, I think it's just because of the United States or whatever. I am Poland, like I had no issues with it, and that shit tripped me out. But anyways, I had one of the best days, and I was like, this is what it's all about, and I could still remember it. But anyways, that's my little spiel. There's a difference between traveling and going on vacation, in my opinion, and I don't think we talk about that enough. When you travel, you're doing things. You have an itinerary, you're moving. When you go on vacation, you have more time to chill, just see what the day brings, no rush. You get there when you get there. Most of us, especially First-Gen Latinas, don't even know how to vacation because we were never taught that either. And once again, I'm not shitting on anybody, pero es la verdad. We just swap one itinerary for another. Same thing with my mom. Her version of rest is tied to maybe going to a religious trip and pilgrimage. The Holy Land, El Camino de Santiago, that's her idea of a vacation. And I love that for her, but that's not rest either, right? Imagine going all the way over there and now you got to make sure that you didn't miss a thing and that y esto y que el otro. You're too busy checking boxes. You're not actually enjoying the in-between, and that's where the real stuff lives. Because I asked her the other day, I had asked her, I think it was last week on Saturday, le dije, hey, Ama, I'm like, do you ever feel like traveling? She's like, pues no. And no, she straight out told me that. She's like, pues sí, ir a como al Vaticano y cosas así. And I was like, okay. She goes, pero por ejemplo, mira, la gente habla de otros países y continentes y yo entiendo, yo sé, no he ido, pero que dónde está España y todo eso, pero no, a mí no me llama la atención porque ¿qué voy a ir a hacer allá? And I was like, oh, okay. And I just looked at her because I didn't know what to say. And she's like, sí, pero no, a mí mejor me gustaría ir al Camino de Santiago y todo eso. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of where it ended there because I didn't know what else to tell her. And here's what I learned, and I'm still learning. Toxic productivity is always going to be a work in progress. You're going to feel like you lost a day sometimes. But if you can set yourself up to work smarter, not harder, even just for a few tasks, I think that's enough. I've learned that sitting and being bored is okay. 1 hour of not doing anything is not going to derail your whole day, because I know some people are going to be like, well, in that hour, I could have made money. Come on, you guys. And that 5 a.m. club, you're going to wake up hella early, and then what? Especially if you don't work normal business hours, or if you're an entrepreneur. Okay. Are you really going to, so you wake up at 5 in the morning, you're done by 6, you can get your day started at 7, you're really going to start calling clients at 7 in the morning to discuss something, when a lot of them don't even get to work or not into work between 8, 9, or 10. You know what I mean? Porque también hay bien hartas like early worm gets the worm and all that stuff. But that shit doesn't work for everybody, you guys. I just want to make it clear because también hay veces que hacen los videos van aesthetic y todo eso. Pero no mamen. A lot of the times that doesn't work for everybody. We all have 24 hours, but they're not the same for everybody. So homegirls, I've seen the analytics on the TikTok page and right about boundaries, guilt, and frustration are all the content that gets more engagement. So I'm going to give y'all some tips and tricks. I did the research for y'all, and it's going to be light because some of y'all se quejan that you're too tired and burnt out and don't even want to start thinking about any of this, which is totally valid. Se las puse bien fácil. Try them and let me know how they go. We tend to jump into things without researching first, and then we get hella overwhelmed, right? So this is going to be a great place to start, especially for those of y'all morras who struggle with boundaries. Empiecen con ustedes mismas. I started this work in therapy, and I'm always going to be a work in progress. A lot of us, especially because somos first-gen women, we live in the whole ni modo a que chingarle, right, mentality. I know we can't, like I always say, be healing 24/7. And some of this is going to be hard for some of y'all. Then on the other side of the coin, some of y'all are going to be like, damn, that's hella easy. That's it. It's hella easy, and still you guys won't still implement it. We're all in different stages of life. Without or with kids, single or married, it doesn't matter. Toxic productivity affects all areas of our lives, y'all, because there's hella layers to it. You have to be willing to at least consider how you look at being productive versus being busy, because those two are very different things. Okay, ahí les va. Ready? 1, 2, 3. According to Harvard Health, toxic productivity is an unhealthy obsession with constant productivity where the internal pressure to work, achieve, or optimize yourself overrides your mental and physical well-being. It shows up as an inability to rest, chronic guilt, and chasing unrealistic goals. It leads straight to burnout. Some of the ways it shows up is skipping meals, exercising, or sleep to keep working, feeling guilty when you're not doing something, setting impossible goals, and burning out instead of actually getting results, glamorizing the hustle, the long hours, the grind, wearing it like a badge of honor, not being able to disconnect from your phone or email at any hour, taking on too many things to prove your value. And my personal favorite, action bias, meaning rushing into tasks without even planning first, just to feel like you're doing something. Okay, ahí les va. They also call it hustle culture, workaholism, performance addiction, and it makes it toxic. And what makes it toxic is that it turns motivation into a compulsion, and over time it leads to anxiety, depression, and it actually makes the quality of your work worse, not better. So here's how you can start countering it. Ahí les va. And some of these are going to be hard for y'all, okay? Ahí les va. Setting boundaries, actual non-negotiable working hours, and leave work at the door when you're done. Redefine what rest means to you. It's not a reward. It's a requirement. Y'all hear that? It's not a reward. It's a requirement. Schedule unproductive time like it's an appointment. Prioritize ruthlessly. Figure out what actually matters and say no to the rest. Practice self-compassion. Your worth is not tied to your output. And unplug digitally. Make the work apps of your phone. Turn off notifications. Stop the impulse to check in. Anyways, I hope these were helpful and easy to start. I know this is a work in progress for all of us. No matter how many years of therapy we do, we're human and we're going through different stages in life. It's about figuring out what works in the moment. Let me know by DM or even in the comments if these tips te ayudaron. So anyways, like I said, it's Easter. Feliz Pascua. I'll talk to you guys in the next week. And morras, don't forget, el journal is available and link in bio. So ahí les va. One last thing. Are you grieving the version of yourself you thought you'd be by now? That question lives inside El Journal de Mis Life Shoulds, a 15-page digital journal for First-Gen Latina daughters. Solo $15. Link in bio. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.